Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and I'm here with another reading vlog. This time we're just gonna mood read. It's currently Friday. I have the day off because we have parent-teacher conferences the last 2 days, so we have the day off to compensate our hours, but we're gonna start it today. We'll go until next Friday and we're just gonna mood read for a week. It is October, it's spooky season. I have several books from the library that I need to finish really soon because my holds are expiring, or my loans are expiring. So we're just gonna mood read and then I will go back to planned videos. But I am currently reading The Secret of Secrets by Dan Brown. This is the latest book in the Robert Langdon series, which was shocking, I think, to a lot of people that he came out with another one because the last book was written quite a while ago in the series, but very fun. I am 19% of the way through. I'm 120 pages in. I'm on chapter 25. So working my way through this one. It's good, but I only have like 1 day left on my loan. So I gotta skip the line loan. So if I don't finish it, it's fine because I still have my normal hold that is supposed to come through in like 10 weeks or something. But I figured I'd just go ahead and read it while I have to skip the line. This book is obviously following Robert Langdon. If you don't know the rest of the series, he is a he's like a religious symbology professor, and he gets himself involved in all sorts of mysteries, I guess. Each book kind of follows him and some religious organization and then some sciencey thing, and that's kind of the formula for all these books. You have this kind of religion versus science situation going on, and then he's kind of in the middle of it trying to solve what's going on. This one is very fun. It's in Prague. I was not expecting it to be such a good like spooky season one. There is this golem character, so like you literally start off with like this monster in the streets of Prague, which was not what I was expecting from this book. I'm sure is going to be explained scientifically. Very interesting. We also got a callback to a character from the third book, The Lost Symbol, in DC. There is a, I don't know, is it a spoiler to say what character it is? I won't say what character, but there's a callback to a character that is also going to be a main character in this book, which is fun. I don't think we've ever had a repeat main character in any of these books. So there's a lot of interesting things going on that don't necessarily fit the mold of the rest of the series. So I'm very excited. I'm going to continue reading this. I'm hoping to finish it today. Again, I have the day off, so I'm trying to read as much as I possibly can and see if I can finish this book today. And then the other books that I have on my radar right now, the other one that is having a loan that expires in like 4 days or something is 3 Bags Full. This one is another mystery, so perfect for fall, for spooky season, where the sheep herder gets murdered and the sheep go to solve the murder. So it's gonna be a little bit of a funnier one, I think. It sounds like it is like legitimately sheep trying to solve a murder. This isn't like sheep that can interact with people. It is like sheep trying to solve a murder. So I'm very excited about that one. I'm also about halfway through The Halloween Tree on audiobook. So I'm also going to finish that. I've got a couple hours, so I'll probably today, my sister-in-law's coming up to visit, so at some point today I'll probably take a break from my Dan Brown book and listen to my audiobook while I do a quick tidy up at the house. Those are the books that are currently on my radar. I'm really hoping to have those done by like the end of the weekend, honestly, which is super ambitious of me, but we'll see how it goes. And then we'll just kind of see what I read next. I have a few vlogs that I need to get going on. If I get through all 3 of those books, this might be just a weekend of mood reading with me. We'll just see. We'll kind of play it by ear. However long it takes me to finish those 3 books. If I have another book that I decide I want to read next, we'll continue the video. But those are the 3 main books that I want to finish while we're doing this video. So welcome to another video, and I'm going to go get reading. Quick check-in. I'm 50% of the way through this book. I'm gonna pause for a minute. I feel like I need to not spend the entire day reading, so I'm gonna take a quick break, but things are going good. We're definitely building up the mystery, trying to figure out what's going on. There are so many suspicious people in this book that I'm not sure that I quite grasp exactly where we're going with this. It's not quite as clear-cut as some of the earlier books, where I feel like there are some very clear, like, oh, we're dealing with this religious organization. I feel like there's a lot of like individuals causing mayhem. This also reminds me slightly of Inferno, just in some of the plot lines. I won't say what, because that's spoilers for both books, but there is a little bit of it that kind of reminds me of that book, which is interesting. I feel like this is way longer than the other books, and I'm very curious about that. Maybe it's just because I'm reading it on the Kindle, but it feels like it's really long compared to some of those previous books in the series. He definitely does this thing where you know characters have gotten information, but he doesn't give you the information. So like they'll have a phone conversation and then you'll like get the character's reaction of like, oh, that changes everything. But then you don't get the information, so then you're trying to guess what that information was based off of the reactions of the character and what they then go and do next. Which makes it really interesting. It's sometimes kind of frustrating because there's lots of times when you're like, oh, we're so close to getting a key piece of information, then he just doesn't tell you, but the character knows. Like there's one part where somebody figures out who was behind a certain hack, and the characters find out, but you don't get to know who it is yet. And so it's kind of frustrating, but it also builds the suspense really good. And it keeps you on your toes guessing because you're trying to figure out based off of then what that character goes and does, what that piece of information was. So very interesting. I'm liking it so far. I'm gonna go do some non-reading things. I might listen to my audiobook, we'll see. I might just watch a YouTube video. I'll probably do that. And then I'll catch up with you guys when I've gotten further through this book. I have quite a few updates for this video. I feel like I introed this video and then I read a bunch and I haven't really talked tons since. I think the last time I talked to you, I was like partially through Secret of Secrets, which I have now finished. So my final review on that one, I really enjoyed it. I think it was definitely longer than the rest of the books in the series, which pros and cons to that. There were a few parts that I felt got a little repetitive just in the explaining science, giving background information parts. I felt like there were times where he, like quite a few times, where he would explain something and then you'd come back to it like a few chapters later and he'd explain it again. And you're like, well, you already told us that. But really that's my only complaint about the book. Other than that, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's just, the Robert Langdon books are just so good. You definitely get a lot of information in these books. So they're not the most fast-paced books in the world because you have all of this historical information that you're getting about like the art and the architecture and stuff like that from Robert Langdon, and then you get all of the science that is being explained by the like scientific main female character. And so there's just a lot of information that is given to you in this book, so be prepared for that. It's not like, I'd probably still classify it as a thriller, but it's not like the most fast-paced, just like binge your way through it type of a book. But overall really good. I'm giving it like 4.5 stars. And then I tried to start 3 Bags Full, and this one was just not what I wanted right now, and we are mood reading, so I decided to put it down. I definitely feel like I was just reading it because I had the library hold, not actually because I was interested in reading the book at the moment. It was definitely like supposed to be a play on the Miss Marple books from Agatha Christie, and those are not my favorite Agatha Christie books. I've only read one, but I just don't love Miss Marple, and so trying to read like a sheep version of Miss Marple was just like not the vibe that I was going for. So I DNF'd that one. I don't know if I'll come back to it, we'll see. It wasn't really piquing my interest yet, and I was, what, like 14% into it? Like I got a little bit into it, but it just hadn't really piqued my interest, and like if it's a mystery book and it hasn't piqued my interest by 14%. Like, what are we doing? But that did get me in the mood for an Agatha Christie, and so I picked up my Agatha Christie book that I wanted to read this fall. This is The Mystery of the Blue Train. This is a Poirot book, and I love Hercule Poirot. He's just so good. He's so finicky about things, but it's just so fun, and he's so, like, he will tell you, I am the greatest detective ever, and you're like, yeah, you are. This one was a good, interesting one. It definitely took a while to build all the pieces. Like, this wasn't one where you're kind of following along and making connections as you go. This was like all these random things, and you're like, how could this possibly connect, until you finally get to the explanation at the end. And I will say, I love the format of the detective at the end going and just fully breaking down everything that happened. I know a lot of people find that a little unrealistic, I guess, but I actually really enjoy those scenes. So overall, this was a good one. I did not see it coming, but it definitely was one that I don't think you had enough information to see it coming until pretty close to the end. So there was that. Overall, just a really solid book. I would put this up there on some of my more favorite. I love a good train mystery. I actually think, I don't know if I enjoyed this one or Murder on the Orient Express more. They're pretty tied in my mind. So pretty similar books. This one definitely did the whole thing where you kind of introduce a bunch of different people and then we kind of get into the mystery. So not the fastest one to get into, but it was good. With that being said, I am actually a little bit ahead of the books that I was planning on trying to read in October this year. So I've been trying to decide what I wanted to go and read. There's a few books that I had originally planned to get to in September that I haven't read yet. And I considered picking up one of those, but like I said, we're mood reading and I didn't really feel like any of those. So I've picked one that I technically was planning on reading in November, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. And this is The Devil Aspect. I think what's gotten me kind of feeling in the mood for this one is that The Secret of Secrets was set in Prague, and this one is also set in Prague. This book is about Victor, who is a psychiatrist that has just gotten a job to work in the asylum for the criminally insane in Prague. And we're set in the 1930s, and there's like the 6 most famous serial killers in this asylum. And so you're kind of following him as he studies to try and figure out what he calls the devil aspect, which is like what they all have in common. And then you're also following one of Prague's police investigators who is investigating the latest Jack the Ripper-esque serial killer. And so he goes to talk to the people at the asylum to see if they can give him any insights into catching this new serial killer. And it kind of goes from there. I'm very excited about it. It sounds like it's going to be a good, just nice, dark, vibey Prague book. I actually found this book because I was looking for something similar to The Lights of Prague by... not sure, I can't see the name from here, but The Lights of Prague is just like exactly what I want in a Halloween book. So I don't think this one's going to quite fit that. I don't know that this has any like Halloween type characters in it. That one has vampires. But it feels like a good vibe. So I'm gonna read this one next and I will update you when I have some thoughts on it. Okay everybody, I wanted to go ahead and end this video off, give you my final recap. I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't read very much the last couple days. I've been working on projects and I've had some crazy work schedules and just stuff like that. So really haven't done a ton, but I wanted to give you a final update. This is going to be a little bit of an unsatisfying final update because I haven't finished a lot of the books that I started while reading in this video. But I thought I'd give you my thoughts for right now, and then you can look forward to my monthly wrap up to get my final thoughts on all of these. But first off, in my last update, I think I had just started, or was just about to start, The Devil's Aspect. I really am not that far into this book yet. I am on chapter 13, it's page 63. So far, thoughts, this book is really gory, and that's part of why it's taking me a long time to read it. I don't want to read it like right before I go to sleep. And I took it with me to go potentially read while I was out and about doing things, but it's just so gory that I don't know if I feel super comfortable reading it in public because I pass out from blood sometimes, and so I've been a little nervous reading this book. I've kind of been like, I want to read it somewhere where I can be in the safety of my house just in case. So other than that, it's good though. The vibes are perfection. It's fall in Prague and like the surrounding area. The insane asylum is in this like medieval castle fortress. It's really interesting. It's got my interest. There's some crazy mysteries. The whole plot line with the like latest serial killer is very interesting, but just very gory. So that's where I'm at. I'm really enjoying it. I will for sure continue reading it, and I will have this done by the end of the month. So you'll see this in my October reading wrap up if you want to know my final thoughts on it, but first impressions have been good so far. And then because I didn't want to read that one right before bed, I did decide to pick up a short story to just read for like a few minutes before bed, just to kind of get my mind off of the intensity of that book. So I ended up picking up The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. It felt like a good Halloween little short story. I feel like having something that's a little bit older, more of like a classic, is usually better for right before bed. So I've gotten partially through this one. It is a short story, so it's not a very long book, but I am 28 pages in. It says I'm at 67%. I want to say this is like 36 pages or something like that. So it's been interesting. I don't really have a lot to say on this yet. I feel like because it's a short story, things just kind of build. You get the setting and then all of a sudden everything happens. So I think I'm about to the point where stuff is starting to happen, and we're past just like the stage setting part. But again, I will report back in my October wrap up. While I was doing all of my sewing projects, I did manage to finish the Halloween tree, which I know I've had talked about already in this video. It was fine. It's very like magical realism-esque, and those just are not my favorite. I do think this book might have been better if I'd done it, if I'd like actually read it physically instead of listening to it. I think that might have just worked better for my brain and this particular book, but it was fine. I gave it like 3 stars. If you're looking for a Halloween one, it fits the bill. It's very appropriate for Halloween season, but it wasn't anything super special. And then the last thing that I started is I did start a new audiobook. I started listening to Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. I'm only a little bit into it, so I'm 6% of the way through, so I haven't gone very far yet. It's an interesting one. I think it'll be a good audiobook because it's largely based around podcasts, and so you're following this lady who was the prime suspect in killing her best friend because she has no memory of the event. And so it's been a few years since that happened, and now a podcaster, like a true crime podcaster, has decided to do that as his new episode. And so now all of a sudden it's like coming back up in her life and she's having to deal with that. And that's as much as I've gotten from that one. So again, not very far. Hopefully I'll have that one done and it will also be in my wrap up. So sorry for a very unsatisfying end to this video, but I did read some really good books. I'm having fun, and this is just kind of how mood reading happens for me, is sometimes I just get in the middle of several books and then I have to try and like wrap some things up before I can start new books. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.